Alright, let's see what's on the news today. Only set back Iran's nuclear program by months. Ceasefire is in effect after deal initially faltered, yeah. Apparently, Tehran never received the ceasefire proposal. Apparently, restart swift deportations of migrants away from their home countries. Because, right, it takes time to get them there. So if they can't get in, well, you're going to a country that's closer. Donald Trump confirms Iran warned ahead of Qatar military base attack. Yeah, we already know about that. Iran says it launched attack on U.S. force at Qatar's. Yeah, we already know that. Asked him to. Carlson says Murdoch asked him to run against Trump. Wait, what? Huh? Trump says whether he'll commit to NATO mutual defense guarantee. It depends on your definition. Media Matters sues FTC. Says agency is retaliating on behalf of Musk. Uh-oh. I don't think that's how it works, but okay, sure. I'm pretty sure they're gonna lose. Or that's gonna go nowhere. I don't know how this. What? Oh, yeah. There it is. Secures top Democrat seat on powerful oversight committee. Murkowski says she has thought about switching to Democratic caucus. Trump backs away from leadership turnover in Iran regime change takes chaos. Well, I mean, it's because he fucking said that, right? It's, man, when you have people who are saying one thing and it sounds like that they want regime change, it's like, come on, dude, what are you doing? If they want regime change, it has to happen by the people, right? They spout democracy all the fucking time, right? Gotta let their fucking people choose. If they choose another fucking crazy person, well, that's on them. They're gonna get fucking bombed again. U.S. arrests 11 Iranians in U.S. illegally. Homeland Security says. At least 25 people killed after Israeli forces opened fire near aid trucks in Gaza. Oh, that's that one incident. That's that one incident that's been going on for a while. Yeah, that's the most recent. Man charged with supplying chemicals to Palm Springs fertility clinic. Bomber dies in custody. Yeah. Wait, what? How the fuck did he die? I'm sorry, excuse me. We'll take a look at that in a second. White House postpones Iran briefings. Inexplicable. Oh, probably because of what happened. Well, I mean, he probably postponed the briefings because the fucking little conflict they had. Right? It seems like the ceasefire wasn't really a ceasefire, right? Jesus. And he's gonna postpone it because he's gonna have to talk to both of them now. Al Green's over to impeach Trump over Iran strike. Yeah, I thought so. And just congratulates Trump on Iran strikes. Even NATO was like, oh yeah, thank you. Like obviously EU can't fucking do anything, so they're gonna make us do it. Do you think EU has our equipment? No, I don't think so. Does the EU have bunker busters? Yeah, no. Apparently we're apparently the US and Russia. That's all. And I guess maybe Israel, if Israel buys them from us. Because I bet they have. Yeah, there you have it. Let's see what Carmelo Anthony got. Yeah, we'll also see the video later. Carmelo Anthony indicted in Frisco track meet stabbing death of Austin Metcalf. Officials say on Tuesday, a grand jury in Collin County charged 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony with a first-degree murder in connection with the fatal stabbing of fellow teenager Austin Metcalf during a track event in Frisco. Stabbing occurred on April 2nd during an altercation over seating at Kendall Stadium, with Anthony claiming self-defense after stabbing Metcalf in the chest. Anthony was taken into custody on April 2nd and released on the April 14th, following a court decision that lowered his bond from $1 million to $250,000. As part of his release condition, he was placed under house arrest and required to wear an ankle monitor. Attorney Mike Howard described the indictment as a routine development and expressed confidence that once all the evidence is reviewed, the prosecution will be unable to eliminate reasonable doubt. District Attorney Greg Willis acknowledged the case was deeply affected the community, and noted that the court will determine the timing of the trial as the legal process proceeds. So there you have it. He has been officially indicted. He has been formally charged in the court of law, so he will be facing the court system at some point. Where is it? I pull up the video. I did. Let's watch the video.
Good afternoon. Earlier this spring, our community was shaken by what happened at a school track meet in Frisco. The violent loss of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. For weeks now, my team has been presenting evidence to the grand jury, and today I summarized that evidence, and I asked the grand jury to return a first-degree murder indictment against Carmelo Anthony, which they did. With this indictment, the case now moves formally into the court system. From this point forward, we'll continue doing our job both fully and fairly to pursue justice under the law. As for the scheduling of the trial, that will be up to the court. But when the time comes, we will be ready.
There it is.
Now, we know that this case has struck a deep nerve here in Collin County and beyond. And that's understandable. When something like this happens at a school event, it shakes people to the core. But let's remember that the justice system works best when it moves with steadiness and principle. That's what we're committed to, and that's what this case deserves. We're also mindful of Austin's family and everyone who loved him. Please keep them in your thoughts, and if you're willing, your prayers as well. Finally, let's remember that a defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law.
Today's indictment of Carmelo Anthony is an expected and routine step in the legal process. An indictment is a procedural step that happens in virtually every felony criminal case. It's a document that lays out for both the prosecution and the defense what the prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt in court. An indictment simply means that a grand jury, after hearing only the prosecution side of the story, determined that there was enough evidence to allow the case to move forward to court. That's all an indictment means. Carmelo and his family are confident in the justice system and the people of Collin County to be fair and impartial. Of course, Carmelo looks forward to his day in court. It's only in a trial that a jury will hear the full story, one that includes critical facts and context that the grand jury simply didn't get to hear. It's only in a trial that both sides get to present evidence and cross-examine each other's witnesses. This is why our justice system is based on the principle of a full and fair trial. That's because it's only in a trial that the full story can be heard and that impartial justice can be done. We expect that when the full story is heard, the prosecution will not be able to rule out the reasonable doubt that Carmelo Anthony may have acted in self-defense.
I wonder if he's going to
Self-defense
testify.
is a fundamental right guaranteed every American. The law is clear. When self-defense is raised by the facts,
Yeah,
the
I
law
would
puts the
assume he
burden
will have to
squarely on the
testify since
prosecution
he's
to
raising
prove beyond a
self-defense
reasonable
himself.
doubt that the citizen
knows?
accused did not act in self-defense.
It's a choice.
The
It's a
law does not
choice.
expect or require the citizen accused to prove that they acted in self-defense. It's actually the opposite. The law requires the prosecution to rule out the reasonable doubt that the citizen accused may have acted in self-defense. We understand that this case has sparked strong reactions. Please remember that there are real human beings, kids,
Innocent
on both
until
sides of this case.
proven guilty.
We
Yes,
ask that
yes.
everyone do as the law requires and withhold judgment until all the evidence can be heard in
Yes,
court.
yes, we know.
We are
know.
confident that when all the facts
Yes,
are
we know. It's not like the Asian countries where they're just like, yeah, we caught you red-handed, you fucking idiot.
presented and the full story is heard, the jury will reach the right conclusion and justice will be done.
Yeah, we get it. You guys are just a bunch of pansies. We know. I'm sorry. They're just lawyers. They're just doing their job.
I want to show you this.
But yeah, that was the Austin Metcalf stuff. Alleged Palm Springs clinic bombing accomplice Daniel Park dies in federal custody. I don't know how, but he passed away. He fucking what? Detonated car bomb as an American Edward Bartkus. That was the fucking crazy guy who decided to do that shit in L.A. Or yeah, California. Sorry, Palm Springs, killing himself and injuring 4 others. The attack followed months of Daniel Park supplying about 270 pounds of ammonium nitrate to Bartkus and collaborating on bomb-making experiments in California. Explosion devastated clinic, broke windows, caused damage to surrounding buildings, scattered debris across an area approximately 250 yards wide. While officials described the incident as an act of terrorism, Park, 32-year-old from Washington, fled to Poland. Oh, he fled to Poland after the bombing. Was arrested June 3rd, returning to the U.S. Wait, what? Found unresponsive in federal custody. Pronounced dead with cause under investigation. Park's death leaves unanswered questions as authorities continue investigation of the motivations, extremist anti-natalist ideology links, and the full impact of the bombing. Christ. So he was just another Allah Akbar person fighting for some stupid cause. Fucking read. Let's do this one. Canadian telecom hacked by suspected China state group. Uh-oh. China. Hold on. We have to. Because it's China, right? Good old China. Hackers suspected of, oh wait. Maximum security Cisco vulnerability was patched October 2023 and exploited February 2025. Hackers suspected of working on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party exploited a maximum severity vulnerability, which had received a patch 16 months earlier to compromise a telecommunications provider in Canada. Canada! Oh, blame Canada! Officials from that country and the U.S. said Monday the Cyber Centre is a way of malicious cyber activity currently targeting Canada telecommunications companies. Officials for the center, the Canadian government's primary cybersecurity agency, said in a statement, the responsible actors are almost certainly PRC, state-sponsored actors, specifically Salt Typhoon. The FBI issued its own nearly identical statement. A major security lapse. How long is this? Okay. Salt Typhoon is the name researcher and government officials use to track one of several discrete groups known to hack nations all over the world on behalf of People's Republic of China. China! In October 2023, researchers disclosed that hackers had backdoored more than 10,000 Cisco devices by exploiting CVE 2198, a vulnerability with a maximum severity rating of 10. Any switch router or wireless LAN controller running Cisco's iOS XE that had the HTTP or HTTPS server feature enabled and exposed to the internet was vulnerable. Cisco released a security patch about a week after security firm VulnCheck published its report. Salt Typhoon has been linked to hacks last year that compromised multiple U.S.-based telecom companies, including Verizon and AT&T. Oh man, shit. Yeah, man, it's always these guys. Well, then again, these guys are the ones that constantly like target them, right? Because there's a lot of information and data from telecommunication companies, yeah. Especially when you're trying to find specific people, yeah, and their phone numbers. The Wall Street Journal, citing unnamed officials, said because if you can find their number and shit, you can basically find where they live and all that jazz. I mean, if you're already targeting the telecommunications company, they have your fucking address and shit, right? They have all that information on you, so they're literally trying to find that information. Hackers likely use their months-long covert access to monitor wiretap systems the companies employ on behalf of governmental agencies. Salt Typhoon members also had access to other types of internet traffic, the Wall Street Journal reported. February of this year, Cisco said that attackers in the same 2024 campaign exploited not just CVE 2023-2198, but also several other previously patched vulnerabilities, including those tracked as you can see, more, what? I guess these are just the update versions, I'm guessing. Right, CVE, that's all I can make, because they don't really tell you what CVE is, right? So I'm just guessing these are just their services that they're updating. Cisco said Salt Typhoon also exploited a newly vulnerability that was patched in November. On Monday, Canada's Cyber Centre said that 3 network devices operated by an unnamed Canadian telecom company were compromised by likely Salt Typhoon actors in mid-February 2025. The hackers exploited CVE 2023 to retrieve running configuration files from the device and modified at least one of the files to create a GRE tunnel, following traffic collection from the network devices were connected to. So GRE tunnel encapsulation developed by Cisco encapsulate wide variety of network layer protocols inside virtual point-to-point links to multi-point links over an internet protocol network. So basically, think of our internet as a bunch of nodes all over the fucking world, right? And we're connected to these nodes by, right, the physical hard line of, right, the fucking underwater cables and shit, right? Yeah, all that's connected. Devices were connected. In separate investigations, the Cyber Centre has found overlaps with malicious indicators associated with Salt Typhoon, reported by our partners and thought through, industry reporting, which suggests that this targeting is broader than just the telecommunications sector. Monday's advisors stated targeting of Canadian devices may allow the threat actors to collect information from the victim's internal network or use the victim's device to enable the compromise of further victims. The Cyber Center officials went on to say that some of the hacking activities may have been limited to network reconnaissance. So they were just... Basically, I think they were just looking into the network and just trying to get whatever information they can, and then that's it. Get the fuck out. Right? Usually they don't want to stay... These guys seem to be operating pretty quick. They're looking for specific information, and when they get that, they're fucking gone. That's why they're so hard to find. Because they're good at their job. Both the Cyber Center and the FBI said that the hackers exploited CVE 2023, but neither addressed the fact that the patch has been available since October 2023. Given the severity of the vulnerability and its known status as an actively exploited vulnerability, the inaction by the Canadian Telecom is a major security lapse that had the potential to harm people downstream. Canadian officials said China state hackers will most certainly continue to target Canadian organizations as part of this espionage campaign, including telecommunications service providers and their clients over the next 2 years. You have it. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you want to protect yourself, just look up some just basic, right, OSINT stuff. You should be fine. Just employ some of those basic techniques and you, because that's all you can really do. When it comes to like government operators who fucking do shit for the government, yeah, you're fucked. Nothing much you can do. They're there to take your shit. That's all they're there. Alright, here we go. Man's health crashes after getting a donated kidney. It was riddled with worms. Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Rare cases like this have led to changes in organ screening protocols. About 2 months after receiving a donated kidney, a 61-year-old man ended up back in the hospital. He was tired, nauseous, and vomiting. He was also excessively thirsty and producing too much urine. Over the next 10 days, things only got worse. The oxygen levels in his blood began to fall. His lungs filled with fluid. He kept vomiting. He couldn't eat. Doctors inserted a feeding tube. His oxygen levels and blood pressure kept falling. He was admitted to the intensive care unit and put on mechanical ventilation. Still, things kept getting worse. At that point, he was transferred to the ICU of Massachusetts General Hospital, where he had received the transplant. He was in acute respiratory failure and shock. In a case report in this week's issue of the New England Journal of Medicine, doctors at Mass General explained how they determined what was wrong with the man. Their first steps were collecting more info about the man's symptoms from his wife, reviewing family medical records, contacting regional organ procurement organizations that provided the kidney. Process of elimination. The man's condition and laboratory tests suggested he had some sort of infection, but as a transplant recipient who was on a variety of immunosuppressant drugs, the list of infectious possibilities was extensive. Dr. Camille Cotton, clinical director of the hospital's transplant and immunocompromised host infectious disease division, led out her thinking. She stated that a process of elimination. As an immunosuppressed transplant patient, he was also on several medications to proactively prevent infections. These would rule out hyperviruses and cytomegaloviruses, herpes viruses and cytomegaloviruses. Sorry, I said that one that's fucked up too. He was also on a combination of antibiotics that would rule out many bacterial infections, as well as fungal infections, pneumocystis jirovecii, that strikes the immunocompromised, and the protozoan parasite Toxoplasma gondii. Okay. One feature stood out. The man had developed elevated levels of eosinophils, white blood cells that can increase for various reasons, including parasitic infections. Sorry, excuse me. Often. The man also had a reddish-purple rash over his abdomen, coupled with severity of his illness. Cotton suspected a widespread parasitic infection. The man's history was notable for contact with domestic cats and dogs, including a cat scratch in the time between having the transplant and falling critically ill. The common bacterial infections linked to cat scratches could be ruled out, and other parasitic infections that might come from domestic animals in the U.S., such as toxocarisis, don't typically lead to such critical illnesses. Cotton began to suspect strongyloids, a parasitic roundworm that infects the gastrointestinal tract. Sorry, I said testicle. It spreads from dogs in tropical regions. In most people, the infection is unnoticeable. But in the immunosuppressed, it can cause a deadly hyperinfection syndrome, with the worm going through accelerating and uncontrolled life cycles and spreading throughout the body, including the liver, brain, lymph nodes, and skeletal muscles. A missing test. Got called the Organ Procurement Organization and found the deceased donor was from the Caribbean. From strongyloids are present. The donor had been tested for the infection before the transplant, but blood samples on records were subsequently tested and found to have antibodies against the parasite, suggesting an infection. The transplant patient's pre-transplant blood samples, on the other hand, were negative. Doctor at Mass General began tests which revealed worms and worm larvae in the man's lungs and stool. Ah! Ah! Skin punch. Also found worms. The man's abdominal rash was caused by the worms meandering through his skin. Ah, Jesus. He was literally being eaten by worms, dude. Oh, oh. Treating such a widespread worm infection is challenging. The extensive infection could ideally be combated by intravenous delivery of a powerful antiparasitic. But the treatment for strongyloiditis is the deworming drug ivermectin, which is only approved by the Food, Drug, and Administration for oral formulations in humans. But gastrointestinal absorption of the drug can be thwarted by GI troubles, which the man had. GI is gastrointestinal. Given the patient's grave condition, the doctors obtained special approval to deliver ivermectin subcutaneously, a delivery method otherwise used only in veterinary medicine as well as orally. They also got a message from another hospital. A person who had gotten the donor's other kidney was critically ill. Uh-oh. He was already maybe critically ill with the infection, and then now they transferred. They didn't. Ooh, and then they transferred into that into that new person. Oh fuck! And then both patients were covered, and the doctors were left trying to figure out how this could have happened. A 2021 report from the Organ Procurement and Transplantation Network found that the overall risk of getting a donated organ with any infection was 0.14%. So only 14% chance. Still, of a very small number of cases of parasites spreading from donated organs, 42% were due to strongyloids. In 2023, the new United Network of Organ Sharing updated its policy to recommend universal screening for strongyloids. So, yeah. So apparently it's 14%. But if you have if there's strongyloids, well, you're at a 42%, which is even fucking worse. So it's better to check if there's this when you're doing organ transplant stuff. Make sure the patient isn't fucking ill and right. Yeah. Ugh. Ooh. Ugh. Alright, there you have it. There you have it. That's our little segment there. Give a like, subscribe, leave any comments. Appreciate it.